Hi, it's Glenn McQueenie, and thanks for joining me once again for our 25-minute success series podcast. So today we're going to do something completely different, and I'm recording this down in Arizona today, and I'm here with Jason Hanson. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great. So Jason and I know each other through the Genius Network, which is run by Joe Polish. And so Jason has got a really, really cool niche market, and we're going to get into that. But before I do, I just want to give you just a little bit of Jason's biography. So Jason Hanson was born to serve. After graduating from Radford University, Jason joined the Arlington County Police Force, and shortly thereafter, Jason set his sights towards the Central Intelligence Agency. Unfazed by more than 2,000 applications they receive every day, he applied for the opportunity to serve his country. And once accepted by the CA, Jason spent nearly a decade at the agency, where he was grateful to work with such great men and women protecting the United States of America. He won the CIA Exceptional Performance Award in 2005 and 2008. And after spending about 10 years, he realized that, you know what, intelligence is more of like a single man's game, and he wanted a family, so he kind of resigned from the agency. And then he decided to focus on creating the Spy Escape and Evasion company, where he is the CEO. So, Jason, welcoming. Let me just ask you this. What made you kind of come out of the CIA and find that niche market where you decided to create your own spy school, um, uh, company?
Yeah, so the agency is a wonderful place to work. They treat you like gold. I had a wonderful time. But as anyone will tell you, it's a single man's game. So I knew plenty of guys who were either miserable in their marriage or divorced or never saw their kids. And I was single at the time, so it was great, but I didn't want to be single when I was, much older and be miserable. So I left the agency in 2010, and now I'm married. I got 3 young kids. But because I loved what I do, I'm very passionate about personal protection. When I left the agency, of course, I need a job. I need a way to make money. So I started Spy Escape and Evasion, where we're teaching the average person spy secrets. So intelligence officers are very blessed to have incredible training, and most people never get access to that. But I say, hey, listen, you don't have to go spend 12 months passing a polygraph, getting a top secret security clearance, which is a long and painful process. Is I can teach you the stuff that intelligence officers need to know to stay alive. And so that's what we do now as a company.
Wow. So where is that? So you started that, and now you've branched out to running like different. I think you've got like a spy ranch. You've got cybersecurity. You've got a whole bunch of things. So just tell me how you branched out to that. Were you actually, or what do you do at the spy ranch?
Sure. So at the Spy Ranch, we do evasive driving. So we teach people how to ram vehicles, how to do 180 turns. We have pistol courses, rifle courses, escape and evasion courses. So we work with, celebrities, corporations, the average Joe, and we customize a lot of the stuff. So you just mentioned we have a lot going on. It's pretty much people come to us and say, hey, we need this, and then we give them that. So we've got, as I said, we've got corporation divisions, celebrity divisions, evasive driving training divisions, cybersecurity divisions. And as long as it's legal and as long as we know how to do it, we'll take care of it. We'll make it happen.
And through that, you kind of parlayed that really into a big kind of media thing too, right? Like you've been on the NBC Today Show, Dateline, Rachel Ray, Fox and Friends, Forbes, NPR, Huffington Post, and then I think it was last year you started your own one-man show on the Las Vegas Strip at Stratosphere called Spy Escape and Experience. So tell us about what that's all about.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. I have a great PR team. We've been, as you mentioned, numerous media, and that, of course, helps spread the word, gets people into our training. And then you mentioned our Las Vegas stage show at the Stratosphere, which is a bizarre story because never in a million years did I think we'd be doing that. But I was training a group of executives, teaching them the spy skills that we do. And this guy approached me afterwards and said, hey, I own a lot of businesses in Las Vegas. I own a bunch of stages and stage shows. How would you like to put on a 75-minute stage show? And since I believe life should be an exciting adventure, I said, sure. And so now we're doing a stage show on the Strip, and it's fun. And it's teaching people the real spy skills in a shorter format that's easy to remember and that anybody can afford to come to a stage show.
Right. So what I love is you kind of got into one niche first, and then you got really good at that, and then through great marketing and PR, you got your whole that what you do out to the public. That started to spur almost like complementary niches like the Spy Ranch, and then that leads you to your next. Uh, like who gets their own Las Vegas show? I mean, that's
Never in a million years did I think it would happen. Believe me, I wish I could say it's a master plan for that, but I certainly didn't.
well, and what I think it's just so great. And then and while you've been doing this, and I guess many of the agents listening to the real estate agents listening to this are going, okay, Glenn, like I listen to a lot of your podcasts, but I have no idea why we're talking about spy schools. And I think the whole point is that what Jason really did was he brought his natural strengths. He brought his already skills and intelligence that he had learned through the CIA, and then he brought it to a target market of people who would need that type of protection and that type of knowledge. And he didn't try to go teach, he didn't try to, go after like, okay, police officers, because they're not going to need that market. But he said, you know what, corporations, celebrities, they're the people who get stalked, right? They would get harassed. What else happens to them? Like, why are they so in such a need to be so aware and learn all those kind of spy skills?
Because they're targets. So they got targets on their back. If you're a billionaire, people want to kidnap you. They want to kidnap your child because they want ransom because you're rich. If you're a celebrity, same thing. You've got money, they want to kidnap you, they want to harass you. So the company originally started training corporations, training celebrities, these guys who have targets on their back. And then a few years back, I was very fortunate to go on the show Shark Tank, and that kind of opened us up to the masses. So now we're training, everybody you name, kind of every background. And what I always tell people is, listen, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican. Everybody on the planet wants their family to be safe. Nobody wants their wife to be kidnapped. Nobody wants to have a home invasion. And so we take all the stuff from the spy world that can be easily applied to how you live every day. Because I no longer work for the agency, but I still do all the stuff that I learned. And because my job is, more unique than most, is we get crazy people, we get stalkers, we get death threats. But I use this stuff every day to keep myself safe, to keep my wife safe, to keep my kids safe. And it's easy to do. As a buddy of mine likes to say, is spying is common sense on steroids. And that's why I can take anybody. I don't care who they are. But anybody who wants to be safer, whether it's grandma who's 85 years old or a 19-year-old college student, and I can teach them the spy skills. That way they'll be safer than 99% of people out there.
So what would you do for realtors? Because it's becoming a big issue right now where, you will hear that realtors, especially female realtors, seem to be more of the target. They tend to, have glamour shots. They tend to, a lot of times they're acting alone. They're doing open houses alone. They're going to meet property people at, they take a listing. Someone calls off at the sign. They would go out and show. Now, I know a lot of them will now meet them in the office, but what are some of the tips that you would give to, not only female realtors, but male realtors on, how to be aware and how to keep themselves safe?
Yeah, I mean, there's three different things that we really teach realtors when we're working with them. And one is we teach them human lie detection skills. Okay. So it's much easier to detect deception than most people think. And so we do that right off the bat. That way, when you're meeting someone, you're talking to them on the phone, you can ask them questions, and you'll immediately know, is this person legit? Is something wrong with them? And I'll share with you right now probably one of the best lie detection techniques, and I'll use it on you. So it's called the 3 to 5 second rule. And what I mean by that is, as human beings, we're terrible liars. If I ask you a question, you're honest, you're going to answer me very quickly. Your face is going to look honest. You're not going to be scared. Dishonest people try and buy time, so they'll stutter. They'll hum, trying to buy time for their brain to conjure up the lie. Okay. Plus, if we're face-to-face, I'm looking at you. I can see you look nervous on your face. I can see you exhibiting those lying details. So here's a question I'm going to ask you, Glenn. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. When's the last time you stole something?
Oh, 40 years ago.
Right, and what did you steal?
I think it was a chocolate bar, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So the reason I ask you that is it's one of the common questions I answer when I'm hiring new employees. And by the way, everybody listening, Glenn was telling the truth. I watched his face. He did a quick answer. But I ask employees, tell me the last time you stole something. Because most people say, oh, in sixth grade I stole a candy bar, or in fifth grade I stole Snickers. We've all done it. We're all human. But I had an employee or a potential employee not too long ago, and she went white in the face. She started shifting in her seat, and I was like, holy smokes. And I said, listen, I'm trying to be nice. Don't worry about it. We've all made mistakes. And this young woman says to me, okay, well, my last job, I stole a bunch of office supplies from my employer because I wanted to start a competing business. I decided not to start that business, so I'm here to apply for a job. Clearly, I didn't hire that woman. But the way I say this is, and teach people, is you can ask them any kind of question you want. So I think I told you this earlier in the day today. Criminals, when they're casing neighborhoods, they'll knock on doors. They'll pretend to be salesmen. And when somebody answers, they want to see first, does it look like it's a single woman, someone vulnerable? Second, does it look like they're rich? So they peer over the shoulders to see, do they have expensive art or gadgets? Somebody knocks on your door and a salesman asks them, how many vacuums have you sold today? Honest person, quick answer, such as it's been a great day, I sold 100 vacuums, or it's been a terrible day, I've sold 2 vacuums. Dishonest person will look nervous on the face, start stuttering. Now you know they're not really a salesman. They're there to do something bad to you. So someone approaches me, and I'm a realtor, and maybe I'm in a house and say, oh, how many houses have you looked at? Or how long have you been thinking about buying a house? A person with bad intent is not going to be prepared. You'll see the nervousness in their face. They may start stuttering. Where if somebody's legitimately looking for a house, they'll say, oh, this is the 5th house we looked at today. Or, oh, my wife and I have been trying to find our dream house for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, of course, there's a lot more lie detection skills than that. But that's one of the first things we teach off the bat. And there's questions you can ask over the phone. That way you don't end up in these dangerous situations in the first place. Then we teach them some very simple tools to carry and other things when they're having an open house and all they do. But again, it's stuff that anybody can do, and it prevents the attack because you see the danger ahead of time. That way you know immediately to walk away or never even meet that person in the first place.
Right. So that's great advice. And I would imagine even at an open house, because it's a very vulnerable situation. Sometimes we're sitting there by ourselves for hours. Sometimes they're really busy. And being busy can cause other problems. I think of the 28 years and the thousands of real estate open houses I've done. I had a theft occur at one, and unfortunately it happened to be my next door neighbor, which is the worst case scenario. And it was a total deception, I realized afterwards, where the husband was there asking me all the questions, and the wife took off with the kid, which you think would be normal. But I just noticed, well, I didn't actually notice, but in hindsight, it was completely clear to me that he was just trying to occupy my time as much as I can so that the place could be, I guess, cased properly, and that they stole that beautiful, it was this diamond pendant. They were people who had been divorced together, who got together, and she had taken her engagement diamond and made a pendant for him and was planning on giving to him. So it was just like the worst.
Yeah, bad thing to get stolen.
Yeah. So what would you say to help some realtors for safety even at their open houses?
Again, we have methods we use, but some people aren't comfortable. So one of the things we do is we always say employ cameras, or at least have a sign when they walk into an open house that just says, hey, for your safety, everything is being recorded. And you can buy, of course, drop cams and cams very expensively. We teach people how to never turn your back. Never have somebody follow you up the stairs. Never have somebody go. You are always polite and say, no, we want you to see the house first. This is going to be your house. Never go in a basement following somebody. So there's all these different little things they can do. And some people aren't comfortable with them because they don't want to put up a sign that says cameras. But I say, put it up. It's just like putting a sign in your front yard that says you have a security system. It's proven. It's a huge reduction when a thief is casing a neighborhood and he sees somebody with an ADT sign versus no sign. So think about that guy who's coming in to steal a pendant when he sees right when you walk in the open house, maybe on the door, maybe on a table or check-in, however you're going to do it, that says this house is under surveillance, video surveillance, for your safety. Every room is being recorded. Even if it's a lie, if I'm a thief going in there and I see that, I'm like, crap, I'm going to go do another open house, because thieves are lazy. They're looking for the path of least resistance. So if they know there's 10 open houses that day and they quickly go to all 10 and you're the one with the sign that says, hey, everything's being recorded, and the 9 other have no sign, he's going to go choose another open house. And our goal is to make sure you're the person who's not chosen, and it's easier to do than most people think.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, that's terrific, Jason. And I guess maybe the last part I would ask you about with for agents and agent safety is, how important it is to get people from online to on the phone. From it's one thing to be texting people, another thing to emailing, but I think it's really important to be able to, especially if a buyer wants to come and see a property, and before you make that decision, to go and meet them at the house. What advice would you give them, apart from meeting at the office? But what other advice would you give them as far as even just listening to their voice or the cadence of the voice or how they are on the phone?
Yes, so there's obviously two huge reasons to talk to them on the phone. One, you're incredibly busy like I am. You don't want to go waste your time with somebody who is, not going to do anything.
Right.
Two, you always screen people over the phone because that's when okay, this is a bad person. And it all goes back to the lie detection. That's where it all starts.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask them right off the bat, how many houses have you looked at today? Again, everybody's figuring it out. And you'll know right off the bat, okay, is this person legit? Is there anything wrong? You can ask some questions like, if it's a guy, hey, will you be bringing your wife today? Will you be bringing any kids with you? I just want to make sure I like to bring treats or popsicles or that kind of stuff. Because then you'll know, okay, this is a single guy coming, and he says he doesn't have a wife, says he doesn't have any kids, and I've asked him how many houses he looked at, and he didn't answer very quickly. I probably shouldn't go meet this single guy. Because we know that predators prey on single women. So one of the questions I would always ask, however you're comfortable with phrasing it, is, who will you be bringing with you today? Will you be bringing your wife with you today, Mr. Johnson or whatever? Oh, no, I'm not married, or no, blah, blah, blah. Then I know it's a single guy, and I'm going to be more on my A game, meaning I'm going to bring somebody else with me, or I'm not going to go, or I'm going to make sure I have self-defense tools on me. Mm-hmm. So I think screening, you can eliminate 99% of the problems. It's just totally kind of transitioned like the dating world. When I was single, these days, people text and never talk before they meet. Mm-hmm. But I would always jokingly ask before I went on a date, how many guys' tires have you slashed? And I'd say it funny. And most women would laugh and, think it was funny, and, that would be it. True story. One time I had a girl go silent on the other end, which, of course, is a sign of deception. And I said, oh, hey, don't worry about it. I'm sure it was a crazy guy who deserved it, still joking. And she said, okay, I've never slashed a guy's tires, but I did key my boyfriend's car one time. Did not go on a date with that girl. So people need to get out of their comfort zones and ask these questions, and they can pretend to be humorous like I was, but find out, especially, okay, is this guy bringing his wife, his kids, or is he coming single? When you ask these questions, you learn a lot, and I'm all about making sure you're never in that dangerous situation in the first place. The last thing I want you to do is have to use some of the self-defense moves I teach you, because that means somewhere before that, the process was screwed up where you didn't screen them properly.
Right, so catch it. Do most of the work up front.
Exactly.
And you'll save all of that hassle. So if we were to maybe, and I'll just put it out to the agents here, you can always leave a comment or a message after you listen to this. If they wanted to do, I don't know if you've been up to Toronto to train or whatever, but I guess maybe two things. One, what are some self-defense things that you would maybe consider, or even what are some maybe tools they have in their purse that can be very effective defense things? And then I guess my final question is, would you be open to maybe if we did get a big group of people maybe coming up to Toronto and teaching that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to think. The last time I went up to Toronto and trained somebody was about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But if you put together a big group, I would certainly be happy to do that. And as far as tools, it's not going to make a ton of sense here.
Right. To show it.
But I have to show it. But the tactical pen, and I'll pull it out here, and they won't be able to see it, obviously. But it's a self-defense pen made of a harder metal. I've flown all over the world with it. It's legal because it's a regular writing pen.
Right.
But we have had numerous lives saved from this thing. We had a woman who 2 men tried to kidnap at a gas station. She fought him off with this. So
if I was to describe that to the people listening, it looks like it's like a grayish gunmetal pen with a hard cap.
That doesn't feel good if you're stabbed.
That doesn't feel good if you're stabbed, as he just pushes it against me. So, okay.
So we train people how to use this because I can personally tell you, when you're in a dangerous situation, you don't want to have to remember 97 different ninja moves.
Right.
You've got to keep it simple. Everybody can grip a pen. Everybody knows how to stab. And I could tell you story after story of women who have stopped attackers with this. So, again, Canada's different than the U.S. A lot of people in the U.S. we train, especially in the Realtors in Texas, they're carrying a gun. They're carrying a knife. Most people are not going to carry a gun or a knife, but everybody's going to have a pen. So we take these devices, which anybody can use, show you the simple moves. you can walk around this with your hand, whereas you're not going to walk around with a gun in your hand. That way, if something happens, you've got to move immediately. You can stop that attacker. So we kind of lead everybody from the lie detection down to the tools, down to the self-defense, all of that. That way you're covered in every area if, heaven forbid, anything should happen.
Well, Jason, I can't thank you enough for joining me today, because I think it's been great, like not only listening to how you kind of got into this niche by bringing your kind of natural strengths to a target market, but just how you created all these complementary markets that all feed off the first one. But, if you would have screwed up your first market, then the rest of these businesses would have all failed, right? So I just love how you kind of rolled them all together, and now you're like traveling around the world, opening up more spy schools. And I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your time. And any last bits of advice you want to give to our listeners?
Nothing I could tell them this quickly, except thank you very much for having me, and please be safe, especially the ladies. You're the target. Screen those guys ahead of time. That way you never find yourself in that crazy situation in the first place. So that's probably the best advice I can give right now.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate your time.